You're welcome to The World Today. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Here's what's coming up within the hour. 1 dead, 26 more injured following a night of intensive Russian strikes on the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. After much delay in the House of Representatives, U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson signs Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. Plus, the Palestinian militant group Hamas says it's consulting other groups before giving a formal response to a new ceasefire plan. Russia has released a barrage of strikes on the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv, leaving 1 person killed and at least 26 others injured. A pall of acrid smoke hung over Kyiv this morning following the attack, punctuated by the staccato of air defense guns, a buzz of drones and large explosions. The Ukrainian military says Russia fired a record of 550 drones and 11 missiles. The attack comes hours after a call between U.S. President Donald Trump and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin, after which Trump said he was disappointed that Mr. Putin was not ready to end the war against Ukraine. Moscow has assured the war will continue for as long as necessary to reach its objectives. Well, Ukraine apparently responded to the Russian strikes with strikes of its own on the southern Rostov region in Russia. Acting governor for the region, Yuri Slyosa, reported the incident on his Telegram channel, saying emergency crews were dispatched to the site and were evacuating residents. The drone attacks shattered windows and damaged cars outside a residential building. The Russian Defense Ministry says its air defenses intercepted 48 drones overnight, including 26 over the Rostov region. Ukraine has not confirmed nor denied it carried out the attacks, but has previously denied targeting civilians and civilian infrastructure. A group of Ukrainian prisoners of war have returned to their country after Moscow and Kyiv conducted the 8th exchange since the Istanbul talks. Earlier today, the former captives were seen arriving on a bus and being greeted by Ukrainian servicemen and calling their relatives. President Volodymyr Zelensky said in a statement many of those released had been in captivity since 2022. In turn, Ukraine released a group of Russian captives who already arrived in Belarus. This was confirmed by Russia's Ministry of Defense. The exchange marks the 8th round of swaps that have been conducted since early June under an agreement reached during direct talks in Istanbul. Under the deal, the countries agreed to release over 1,000 seriously ill and wounded prisoners of war, as well as those under the age of 25. And all hope appears not lost in Ukraine's desire to become a member of the North Atlantic Trade Organization, NATO, as Denmark expresses its support while also seeking to improve diplomatic relations with Kyiv. President Volodymyr Zelensky was in Denmark on Thursday as it assumed presidency of the European Union. During a news conference later, he said Ukraine has already done everything required to start accession talks. Denmark launched its presidency of the European Union with a ceremony in the western city of Aarhus. Its 6 months at the EU's helm comes against a backdrop of conflict in Ukraine and chaos caused by President Donald Trump's global tariff wars. And Russia has become the first country to formally recognize the Taliban rule, with Afghanistan's Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi calling it a courageous decision. He met Russia's ambassador to Afghanistan, Dmitry Zernov, in Kabul on Thursday, where Mr. Zernov officially conveyed his government's decision to recognize the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. Muttaqi said it was a new phase of positive relations, mutual respect and constructive engagement, and that the shift would serve as an example to other countries. The Taliban have sought international recognition and investment since they returned to power in August of 2021, despite reports of increasing violations on human rights. To the United States now, where despite hours of delay by Democratic House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, House Speaker Mike Johnson eventually signed Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill after it cleared the chamber in a narrow 218 to 214 votes. Johnson and other Republican representatives celebrated and posed for pictures together as he signed the document. The legislation, opposed by all House Democrats and Republicans, Thomas Macy and Brian Fitzpatrick, passed following an intensive overnight debate that stretched nearly 29 hours. Our Washington correspondent Maria Bird has a report.
On this vote, the yeas are 218, the nays are 214. The motion is adopted.
The president's big, beautiful bill passed the House on Thursday, despite the longest magic minute by minority leader of the House in history.
Press on for our seniors. Yes. Press on for our veterans. Yes. Press on for our unions. Yes. Press on for our farmers. Yes. Press on for our dreamers. Yes. Press on for working class Americans. Yes. Press on for the middle class. Yes. Press on for all who aspire to be part of the middle class. Yes. Press on for the poor. Yes. Press on for the sick. Yes. Press on for the afflicted. Yes. Press on for the least. Yes. Press on for the lost. Yes. Press on for the left behind. Yes. Press on for the rule of law. Yes. Press on for the American way of life. Yes. Press on for democracy.
At the center of the big, beautiful bill is an extension of President Trump's 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which was slated to sunset at the end of the year. The legislation would make most of the tax cuts permanent while increasing spending for border security, defense, and energy production. The bill is partially paid for by significant cuts to health care and nutrition programs like Medicaid and the Supplemental Nutrition Program, or SNAP. The Congressional Budget Office estimates the bill would add $3.4 trillion to federal deficits over the next 10 years and leave millions without health insurance.
So we're signing at about 5 o'clock, and at about 5 o'clock we're going to have B-2s and F-22s and F-35s flying right over the White House. And the Speaker and I and John Thune, we're all there together with most Republican senators and congressmen and women, and it's going to be a great day.
The president's congressional allies ensured that this bill passed the Senate and House. Speaker of the House Johnson announced the passage of the bill.
Everything was an absolute disaster under the Biden-Harris radical, woke, progressive Democrat regime. And we took the best effort that we could in one big, beautiful bill to fix as much of it as we could. And I am so grateful to God that we got that done as we did, because of the dedication, yeah.
The bill is expected to be signed by the president during a ceremony at 5 p.m. Eastern Time at the White House on the Independence Day holiday in the United States. From Washington, Maria Bird, Channels Television News.
U.S. President Donald Trump celebrated the passing of his One Big Beautiful Bill yesterday, taking a victory lap at an event at the Iowa State Fairgrounds while sharing his plans for the upcoming year of celebrations for the nation's 25th anniversary. Beg about 250th anniversary. Trump plans to sign the bill into law today, America's Independence Day.
55 days into the Trump administration, America is on a winning streak like, frankly, nobody's ever seen before in the history of the presidency. They said, you know, sir, you're going to go down as one of the greatest presidents ever. I said, really? No, I said, really? I said, better than Washington? They said, yes, sir. I said, better than Honest Abe Lincoln? They said, yes, sir. I said, I like this guy that said that. That's a smart guy. He's up for a big promotion right now. But just a few months ago, our country was cold as ice. We were laughed at all over the world. We were laughed at. Think of it, a year ago, we were laughed at. We were a bunch of clowns. Look at our stock market. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars on tariffs. With no inflation, we stopped 5 nations from going to war. And somebody else will get the Nobel Peace Prize for their writing about Donald Trump. A professor at some school that you've never heard of has received the Nobel Prize for his writing about Donald Trump and what to throw the timeless American principles and other pillars of our liberty and replace them with some of the most noxious ideas in human history, ideas that have been proven false. Members of Congress and even former presidents have been openly embracing vile creeds such as socialism, Marxism, and straight-up communism. In New York, they're trying to elect a communist, Zoran Mamdani, the guy who wants to defund the police, take over the stores and run the stores, and have the people hand out goods. And when everything falls apart, it always does, it always works that way, it never has worked any other way. Anarchy and dictatorships prevail. This guy is a communist at the highest level, and he wants to destroy New York. I love New York, and we're not going to let him do that. Generations of Americans before us did not shed their blood only so that we could surrender our country to Marxist lunatics on the eve of our 250th year. As President of the United States, I'm proclaiming here and now that America is never going to be communist in any way, shape, form, and that includes
U.S. President Donald Trump. Let's bring in international affairs analyst Stephen Hayes. Stephen is in Washington. Stephen, happy 4th of July. Thanks for joining us on the program today. How is the U.S. Capitol on this celebratory occasion?
Well, thank you. It's good to see you again. On July 4th, the Capitol is always in a state of celebration. Usually it's a broad celebration, major fireworks, hundreds of thousands of people come in for that show. I'm going to avoid it simply because the crowds tend to be fairly huge, and it's very hot and humid today. But it's a celebration always on July 4th in Washington.
Historic day it will be, at least by the end of today, when President Donald Trump signs that one big beautiful bill into law. Will there be any fanfare accompanying this in the Capitol?
Well, anything that with Donald Trump is always with fanfare of some sort. Certainly there's going to be a large support for his bill and the signing. He'll have the Republican crowds around him at the signing ceremony. So there'll be quite a bit of fanfare. There's no doubt about that. And begrudgingly from some, but overall there'll be a lot of fanfare, and you'll see on American television quite a bit about it as well over the next several months.
Stephen, I wanted to understand what this bill means for Americans such as yourself. Will it improve your life?
Well, I think everyone is waiting to see what this bill means, because it's almost 900 pages. Even members of Congress haven't read the entire bill. We don't know everything that's in it. In general, though, my initial impression, reading as much as I can, is it will be to be honest, it will be an improvement for me, a slight one. It increases income and spent by lowering my taxes. In fact, 80% of the population of taxpayers will get a cut of some sort. 60% of that, though, goes to the top 20% and the income levels. It doesn't really trickle down well. But at a personal level, yes, it's going to be some benefit for me. My question is more that if the country benefits, so do I. And so it's a question of how much will the country benefit overall.
Indeed. And I'm hearing that there will be a lot of tax cuts, cuts to health care and food programs. It does sound like, you know, working middle-class Americans might be coming under some kind of pressure in the near future.
The working class, especially laborers, the blue-collar areas, and the poor, almost are certainly going to suffer under this. Even Republican senators who voted for the bill have admitted that. It's going to be very, very difficult on a lot of people. The estimates are between 11 million to 18 million, depending on who you read and believe, but it's still going to be a huge number that will lose their health care benefits. That's going to be tremendous. The rationale for that is that there's been welfare cheats and cheats on health care. Well, yes, there has been, but certainly not in those numbers. And it's going to affect the young, especially students who are dependent on that. It's also going to affect the old and the poor. So it's going to be a major adjustment. We have to wait and see how that happens. But it's the universal health care has always been a target of the Republicans, and it's going to continue that way. It's going to be very difficult over the next several years.
It will be. And what sort of adjustments will Americans have to make once this bill comes into effect?
That's the question. And even though you're going to have income cuts, and to the president's credit, he has kept his campaign promises. I'm not sure everyone clearly understood what those meant, but nevertheless, he has kept his promises of tax cuts. So it's going to be a benefit. And initially, I think it's going to be a benefit after this tax year for a lot of Americans. But against that is the debt will go up, which means inflation will also go up in all likelihood. And so it's going to be probably just barely a net plus for most Americans. And we just have to wait and see. We don't know everything that's in the bill. We don't know all the dynamics of it. And as one person said, well, to learn what the bill is in the bill, we're going to have to pass it first. But and that's, in fact, is what has happened.
Seems like walking blind. But when does this bill come into effect, Stephen? Do you know?
Yes, as soon as the president signs, it becomes law. Now, there are different segments, though, and again, well, we have to read the bill carefully. Some of the provisions within that bill, depending on what part it is, the health, the fossil fuels and so forth, take effect in 2026 and 2027. Some things go out, no longer in effect for that time. So again, we're going to have to look at the bill. But the bill has become law with the president's signature. The first benefits you'll see financially will be next year when the taxes are filed. Other things will depend on everything, all the details, the fine print in that bill.
Well, we'll also be watching from here in Nigeria. Stephen, thanks again for joining us, and a happy 4th of July to you and yours as you celebrate.
Thank you. Thanks very much. An honor as usual. Thank you.
Speaking of celebrating the U.S.'s 249th independence anniversary, the consulate here in Lagos brought together prominent figures from both nations, reaffirming the strong bilateral ties between Nigeria and the United States. Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and acting U.S. Consul General Jolin Gorge delivered remarks emphasizing the significance of the U.S.-Nigeria relationship and expressing enthusiasm for future collaborations. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Layo Olarinde reports.
On the 4th of July, the United States celebrates a major milestone, 249 years of independence. In Lagos, the U.S. consulate marked the occasion with a gathering that brought together government officials, business leaders, civil society representatives, and social media influencers, all celebrating the strong and growing ties between Nigeria and the United States.
Excellence and opportunity.
Acting U.S. Consul General Jolin Gorge led the celebrations, reaffirming America's ongoing commitment to its relationship with Nigeria.
As we celebrate American independence, we also celebrate the enduring partnership with Nigeria, a partnership rooted in expanded economic opportunity, deepened commercial engagement, and long-term mutual prosperity.
The governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, representing the Nigerian government, highlighted areas of mutual benefit between both countries.
It's critical to know that it's still all about commercial, partnership and growth, and I believe it's an opportunity for us as Nigerians as well to take the full opportunity, because what he's looking at, is looking purely on the commercial side, and what business can we, create together. And you know that we are never lacking on creation. Our creative industry, our tourism industry, our young tech dynamic industry are some of the export that we also can take back.
Other dignitaries, including the governor of Osun State, Ademola Adeleke, are also in attendance, underscoring the importance of U.S.-Nigeria relationship.
It's a welcome development to celebrate July the 4th Independence Day. We've been celebrating it for a long time. This is how we do it, every year. So I'm happy that I'm here so that we can seal the good relationship between U.S. and Nigeria.
Guests were treated to an evening of music, food, and warm conversations. A relaxed, festive atmosphere that highlighted the cultural connection and shared values between both nations.
As America celebrates 249 years of independence, tonight's event in Lagos serves as a reminder of the friendly ties between the United States and Nigeria, anchored in shared values, mutual respect, and a commitment to progress. From the U.S. Consul General residence in Lagos, Layo Olarinde, Channels Television News.
Today, an explosion at a petrol station in Rome's Prenestino district this morning injured at least 9 first responders. The blast occurred shortly after 8 in the morning local time. It was powerful enough to be heard across the city. According to a spokesperson for Rome's police, Elisabetta Accardo, 8 officers and a firefighter were injured in the blast. 5 of them were hospitalized for treatment but are not considered to be in a life-threatening condition. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is reportedly monitoring the situation closely, and both the local metro station and a nearby sports center were briefly evacuated. The cause of the blast remains under investigation, though initial reports suggest the gas explosion was triggered after a tanker collided with a pipeline and a detached petrol pump.
Allora, io ero in zona Tor Vergata, che abito lì, e ho sentito una botta assurda. Io lavoro qui, ho una radio, e abbiamo chiamato subito i ragazzi, sono esplosi i vetri, poi i nostri sono blindati, quindi fortunatamente non è successo niente, però una botta assurda. Intorno alle 8:30, 8:35 credo di averla sentita, una cosa del genere, più o meno sì.
Our Greek firefighters are continuing to work hard to control the wildfire that started on the island of Crete on Wednesday. Conditions have reportedly started to improve, but the fire is still active. Earlier today, helicopters dropped seawater onto scorched land. Emergency crews worked to secure newly extinguished areas and the devastated aftermath across buildings and forests. The fire, which started near Irapetra on the southeast coast of Crete on Wednesday, led to the evacuation of approximately 5,000 residents and tourists. More than 230 firefighters, 46 fire engines and 10 helicopters were reportedly deployed to fight the fire, while strong winds at first fueled the rapid spread of the fire. Their weakening helped to slow the advance of the flames. To the Middle East now, Hamas says it's consulting other Palestinian groups before giving a formal response to the latest proposal for a new Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal put forward by the U.S. President Donald Trump said on Friday morning he expected to know within 24 hours whether Hamas has agreed to the plan or not. He said earlier this week that Israel had accepted the conditions necessary for a 60-day ceasefire, during which the parties would work to end the 20-month war. Meanwhile, the Israeli military is continuing to bomb targets across the Gaza Strip. Spokesperson Stefan Dujarric says the Secretary General is appalled by the deepening humanitarian crisis in Gaza as violence and displacement continues to escalate in the enclave. Relaying the Secretary General's statement at the daily press briefing today, Dujarric said multiple attacks in recent days hitting sites hosting displaced people and people trying to access food have killed and injured scores of Palestinians. According to the UN, nearly 30,000 people were forced to flee in just one day this week, following orders to relocate, a situation the Secretary General described as yet again with no safe place to go and clearly inadequate supplies of shelter, food, medicine or water.
I have a statement to share with you on the humanitarian situation in Gaza. I can tell you that the Secretary General is appalled by the deepening humanitarian situation in Gaza. Multiple attacks in recent days hitting sites hosting displaced people and people trying to access food have killed and injured scores of Palestinians. The Secretary General condemns the loss of civilian life. In just one day this week, Israeli orders to relocate forced nearly 30,000 people to flee yet again with no safe place to go and clearly inadequate supplies of shelter, of food, of medicine, and of water. International humanitarian law is unambiguous. Civilians must be respected, civilians must be protected, and the needs of the population need to be met. Also with no fuel having entered Gaza in more than 17 weeks, the Secretary General is gravely concerned that the last lifelines for survival are being cut off. Without an urgent influx of fuel, incubators will shut down. Ambulances will be unable to reach the injured and the sick, and water will not be able to be purified. The delivery by the United Nations and our partners of what little of our life-saving humanitarian aid is left in Gaza will grind to a halt.
The Syrian transnational government has unveiled its new logo and rebrand during an official event held at the People's Palace in the capital, Damascus. Syrian interim President Ahmed al-Sharaa says this identity draws its features from this majestic bird of prey from which it derives strength, determination, speed, precision, sharp vision, smart hunting, and innovation in performance. It is a skilled maneuver. Soaring high in the sky, it is a skilled hunter, the professional swooper, and the one who spreads its wings to protect its people and children. Its color resembles that of pure, unblemished metal, enduring with time just as people of Syria have throughout history. The event was attended by a number of officials and representatives from civil society. Al-Sharaa paid tribute to the Syrian youth who contributed to designing the identity, both inside and outside the country, describing them as creatives who defy the circumstances and prove that Syria is not lacking in talent, but simply needs trust and nurturing. The UN says June 2025 has seen a significant surge in the number of families being deported from Iran to Afghanistan, which is a new and concerning trend as returnees deported in previous months were predominantly single young men. Over 256,000 Afghans returned from Iran via the Islam-Kala border near Herat in June alone, averaging up to 20,000 per day towards the end of the month. Children account for a quarter of these returnees, including over 5,000 unaccompanied and separated children. Returnees are arriving in highly vulnerable conditions with depleted resources, limited access to shelter, food, water, healthcare, and protection services. The situation constitutes an acute humanitarian emergency with immediate and medium-term implications for stability, protection, and recovery in an already fragile border province.
We've received close to 30,000 individuals returning from Iran into Afghanistan. This number is beyond our capacity. This number is beyond our preparedness planning. 25% of all returns are children, and these are children that need our support. But more importantly for us is the proportion of unaccompanied and separated children in the midst. Since January this year, UNICEF has provided support to close to 4,000 unaccompanied children, and only today we are able to record around 47 unaccompanied children or separated minors in this reception center who are now being moved into the transit center where there will be further documentation, family tracing, and hopefully, eventually, reunification.
Football fans have been paying their respects to Liverpool player Diogo Jota, who lost his life in a car crash in Spain's Zamora region on Thursday. Outside Anfield Stadium in Liverpool, the football club flag is flying at half-mast and a banner attached to fence reading, "Rest in peace, Jota, YNYA." Fans were also seen placing flowers, scarves and jerseys on the lawn. A Liverpool supporter described the moment as tragic, saying, "I don't know whether it will ever be the same again for the team." Jota was remembered as a key figure in Liverpool's recent success. He brought energy, he brought goals, he brought everything, says another fan. He was an important part of the side.
Yeah, it is. And I think just because it's Jordan, the break.
Well, here in Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu has expressed sadness at the passing of legendary Super Eagles goalkeeper Peter Rufai, who died at the age of 61, also on Thursday. A statement issued by the president's advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Ononuga, says President Tinubu condoles with the Rufai family, friends and football enthusiasts on the demise of the inimitable goalkeeper, fondly called Dodomeana by numerous fans and football lovers all over Nigeria. He noted that Peter Rufai will be remembered as one of those patriotic sportsmen who wrote their names in gold in the sporting annals of Nigeria and the African continent. NPFL chairman Otumba Gbenga Elegbeleye described Rufai's demise as saddening, stressing that he was a good ambassador of the league and an inspiration to the younger players. Captain of the Super Eagles, Ahmed Musa, in his reaction to the death of Peter Rufai, said on his X handle, "Can't believe I'm typing this, a post to bid farewell to true giants of Nigerian football. Peter Rufai, your heroic reflexes and unwavering presence between the posts brought us moments of pride on the world stage." Rufai made his debut for then Green Eagles in a friendly match in December of 1981 and won the Africa Cup of Nations silver in 1984 and 1988 before Nigeria swept to glory in the continental finals in Tunisia in 1994. He was the first choice of goalkeeper in the 3 championships. He's also a friend of the house here in Channels Television. You're looking at pictures of the last Channels Television's Kids Cup competition, in which he was goalkeeper for Chairman, CEO of Channels Media Group, Mr. John Momo. 2-1. Let's bring in now Channels Television sports correspondent in London, Austin Okonapan. Austin, it is great to see you. As always, it's been a while we've had you here on the program. You were quite close to Peter Rufai, famously called Dodomayana. I know you don't really want to go much into, your personal encounters with him, but what was it like for you learning that he had died and learning so suddenly on social media that he was no longer with us?
Marachi, good to see you again. Good to be on the show. It was devastating. I was so broken. And right away, I went to WhatsApp and I sent him a message. I call him the Rock Dodo, and he will reply, Mayana Dodo Austin. And I said, hi, Dodo. And I said, can I speak to a family member? Because it was so difficult for me to take. The last time he chatted me up was in March. He said, Happy New Month. And I said, Dodo Mayana. And it was red, but I got no reply, And I've been wanting to speak to him because the last picture I saw of him on social media, he had lost so much weight. But, I didn't know how to put it. I didn't want to go personal. But I know he would have spoken to me. And so right now I feel so bad since yesterday that I should have just spoken to him, But I want to hold on to the memories, to the fun moments of Peter Rufai, and we created magic at the grassroots. I supported his grassroots program. He did the same thing for me with the Channels International Kids Cup. I remember how I'll call on him. I'll say, Austin, say no more. I will be there with you all the step of the way. You know, he was so supportive, you know, calm, gentle, and with someone with so much footballing details in Nigeria, and the way he related with a younger me, you know, tells you the kind of personality that is God's. We will miss him so much. Arguably on my list, Amarachi, this guy sits among the top 3 all-time best goalkeepers Nigeria has ever produced.
Yeah, and I think thanks to the Channel's sports team, I actually got to meet him one of those times he was here at Channel's television for one or two interviews you had on your show. So it was really nice meeting him, very down-to-earth fellow. And as you mentioned, he was a big friend to the Channel's TV family for the sports desk, essentially. He was a huge part of the last Channel's Kids Cup competition here in Lagos. That perhaps gives us an insight into how involved he was with giving back, Austin, doesn't it?
That's right, you know, and he loves it so, and he keeps telling me, Austin, keep the data. Austin, make sure we monitor the stars. You know, this picture was in 2017, and he came to me and he said, go and tell the chairman that he wouldn't be able to score me in a penalty shootout. So I went to the chairman, and I said, Dodo Mayana is putting you up for a challenge, you know, and he said, really? And the chairman said, go and tell him I dribbled Adokia Amesimaka one time, you know. And Adokia is a legend of football in Nigeria. I was part of the first team, the team that won the AFCON in 1980. So I went to tell Dodo Mayana, my chairman said he's going to score you, that he dribbled Adokia back in the day. You know, it was all fun. You know, the kids loved it. Spectators liked it. The chairman stepped up to the spot. The first one, I think he didn't score. And, you know, Peter Rufai in his bubbling self and all, goalkeepers, they have these gimmicks that if they want to intimidate you, they'll take the ball to you. Then they'll tell you to touch it. You see, that's what he was doing there. He was trying to intimidate the chairman. He took the ball to the chairman. He said, touch it, touch it. And the chairman touched it, took the ball from him. And the chairman coolly, you know, he did his thing. The chairman himself has got some skills, so he scored. Yeah. And when they were going back, Peter Rufai came to me and he said, Austin, don't show that part. Go and edit it out. And I said, I'm sorry. It is live on TV, you know. So everyone, they've already seen it that the chairman of Channels TV, you know, scored you in a penalty shoot. And it was all fun, you know. And these are the moments we will live to remember, you know, a legend of the game, you know, coming out there, support the kids, inspire them, motivate them. And I remember this edition, he didn't just show up, he gave cash prizes, he gave gloves to the best goalkeeper, he encouraged the young talents, and these are the things we're talking about. He's left a sound legacy behind, and I hope we'll be able to preserve it as a country, Amarachi.
Indeed. It's just, you know, really, it's incredible, you know. People are here today, they're gone tomorrow, although we wish to see our chairman play football with us more often than we have seen. But Dodo Mayana, incredible man. And it's just such a coincidence, isn't it, Austin, that both he and Liverpool forward Diogo Jota were announced to have died on the same day. That's a huge loss for the world of football.
You know, it was such a dark day, you know, Amarachi. I woke up and I saw the story of Diogo Jota and his brother, Andre, and I was like, what's going on? That is just 28. And so much has happened in his life, Amarachi, in the last 1 month. In May, he won the Premier League with Liverpool. In June, he won the UEFA Nations League with Portugal. 10 days ago, he married the love of his life. They have 3 kids together. Like he knew he was going to go. He had a long operation, and the doctors advised him not to fly. He would have flown to England and then go to Liverpool for pre-season. So he had to drive to catch the ferry that would take him into England. And this happened, not just Diego, with his brother. And I was trying to process that. Like, this guy would have just defied doctor's order and just fly. And if there was a medical emergency, he would probably survive it. And then his brother won't die. And then he decides to, you know, listen to the doctors, go on a road trip, and see, it's a Lamborghini, it's a power car, try to overtake a car, and then the tire, blew out and then veered off the road and it exploded. Just imagine how they both suffered before they died. Like, it was so devastating. And I did not know that a legend of Nigerian football was already gone, because Peter Rufai left at 6 a.m. yesterday, but the family didn't announce it till about in the evening when news came out. And when I heard it, I was getting ready for sports tonight. I was like, gracious goodness, what's going on? But hey, it tells us, Amarachi, that we should live every day with purpose. Diego Jota, everything I've read about him, people love him. He did virtually everything he could do for his footballing career, and at just 28, he has so much details attached to his name, and the world is celebrating him. Same with Peter Rufai. So it just reminded me that we must make a difference every day of our lives, because tomorrow is not guaranteed, Amarachi.
It is not guaranteed, and life is so precious, Austin. And as we grieve the demise of these two remarkable gentlemen, what do you think they would have told fans during a time like this?
Well, Peter Rufai would have calmed us with a smile. I remember one day I was so worried about the Kids Cup. Things were slowed down with Superb, the Lagos State Football Association, and he said, Austin, stop. You are going to have a great Channels Kids Cup. You're going now. There's a way it's so calm and it's so reassuring. He said, you're going to be just fine. I keep hearing his voice. I have never seen Peter Rufai in a troubled mood. Never. He just has those calm words that will keep you going. That's what he will say. He will tell us to breathe. He will tell us to take it one step at a time. He will remind us that tomorrow is another chance for us to win. And that's why he's got so much victories attached to his name, I don't know much about Diogo Jota, but what I've heard people talk about him is that same guy too. The fans love him, he brings something special to the field of play. He's your modern day footballer, he's the super sub that a coach can look up to and say, oh, he can get into the game and turn things around. So he's a transformer, a reformer. So that kind of guy would have told us, look, this problem is here now. How can we turn it around? Now, they're both not here, Amarachi, but let's remember them for their virtues, for their values, for what they've given to humanities, and try to, extol those virtues. And as I said, particularly with Peter Rufai, because we've struggled with protecting the legacies of our legends in Nigeria. And we had it in the anthem that the labor of our heroes past shouldn't be in vain. So this should be another reawakening call to the Ministry of the National Sports Commission, everyone involved in sports administration in Nigeria. Let's find a way to immortalize Peter Rufai and keep his virtues, Amarachi.
Thank you for those words, Austin, and thank you again for joining us on The World Today. We appreciate your thoughts, and we do hope that you take care. Our thoughts and prayers are with Peter Rufai's family and all who knew him and loved him.
Thank you so much, Amarachi.
Here in Lagos, the state government, through the State Primary Healthcare Board, in collaboration, has flagged off the second round of the National Immunization Plus Days across all local government areas and local council development areas, with the official ceremony holding in Ekpe local government area. Representative of the First Lady of Lagos State, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Badejo, emphasized the health and development of children is pivotal to the future of any society.
Health officials, community leaders, nursing mothers, and other key stakeholders in the health sector gather at the Ekpe Local Government Secretariat for the flag-off ceremony of the second round of the 2025 National Immunization Plus Days campaign. The permanent secretary of the Lagos State Primary Healthcare Board explained that various strategies will be deployed to ensure that no child is left behind during the immunization program.
We've had the first round, where we have been told Lagos State had virtually 100% coverage without the round of applause. This is not something that is common in anywhere in the country for you to score 100%. And I'm sure this second round will not be an exemption. If possible, we will score more than 100%. We will surpass WHO benchmark. We will surpass UNICEF benchmark.
Development partners commend the state government for driving the message of routine vaccination.
UNICEF will continue to be with you because for us, immunization is actually that gateway to improvement of the rights of children wherever. We believe in what the Lagos State government can do with all the stakeholders, and we stand with you all through this process.
Speaking on behalf of the wife of the Lagos State Governor is Mrs. Oluwatoyin Badejo, a member of the Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, who says the provision of healthcare infrastructure for mother and child shows the state government's commitment to the well-being of every child.
Over the past years, we have witnessed a transformative journey in our healthcare sector, one that has significant needs of limited maternal and child health indices in Lagos State. I appeal to all parents and guardians to allow their children to be vaccinated as we move towards the Lagos State where vaccine preventable diseases no longer exist.
During the immunization campaign, healthcare workers will also administer any missed routine vaccines for children, thereby offering protection against other vaccine-preventable diseases, including human papillomavirus vaccine to prevent cervical cancer among adolescent girls.
All right, in Taiwan, we're looking at the world-renowned, or perhaps infamous, disgusting food museum. It is making its debut in the city, marking its first exhibition in Asia. Featuring 85 bizarre dishes from 35 countries, this global exhibition at Taipei's Songshan Cultural and Creative Park, which originated in Sweden, challenges visitors' senses, sight, smell and taste to the extreme. Prepare for a truly unique and potentially stomach-churning experience as we're looking at footage of visitors cringing, well, I think I just saw a maggot, while smelling or tasting some of the unusual dishes showcased in various interactive zones, including, believe it or not, smell jars that test tolerate for pungent aromas like durian and Sardinian maggot cheese. Oh gosh. Among the 85 controversial dishes are Iceland's fermented shark, Sweden's surströmming, alongside Taiwan's notorious stinky tofu and century eggs. Images also capture visitors mesmerized by a live bat dish, chicken breast pudding, Peruvian frog juice, a cow's blood dish, and a roast sheep's head.
Hello.
I hope I haven't destroyed your taste buds for dinner, but thanks for watching The World Today. I'm Amarachi Ubani.